Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call this special meeting to order. And this is a working session, as I indicated a while ago, to talk a little bit about a couple of things. But for the first part, I would like to have a moment of silence, as we have learned that a number of our property owners in Cherokee Village are in intensive care, either in Little Rock or in Batesville or in Mountain Home. And it's come to us, most of them are golfers, I know, and I just ask for your thoughts on their lives as they are being taken care of by the hospital staff. Thank you very much for a moment of silence for those wonderful people that have been property owners here for a while. Our agenda, I'd like to have us follow, is a research that's been done by Miss Tracy Lee, or is it Mrs.? I apologize, Tracy.
It's Tracy.
Tracy has been done on lot sales, and this is a critical item, in my humble opinion, as I own 4 lots now in Cherokee Village, and I've utilized the process that Tracy's going to describe for us. And at this point, may I turn the meeting over to you, please, Tracy?
Yeah, you can go over here.
Please.
So if you go over here, we'll turn that one on to you. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to try to give you as much information as I've been able to find over the last couple of months, because I know there's a lot of confusion I see out there on Facebook or Nextdoor about how do lots get sold, how can we buy a lot, do we have to buy from ALC, how come we couldn't buy it at an auction, that sort of thing. Why are some at the land commissioner's office? So I've tried to map out this process flow, so if anybody wants to take a picture of it, you're welcome to come and get it. But let me give you an overall on
And move the
how
microphones where you hear
the
better.
life of a lot in Cherokee Village.
We go a little closer. How about that? No problem.
Okay.
Is that better?
Much
Okay,
better.
so someone buys a lot in Cherokee Village. It goes to the SID office. SID is the one who assesses the fees. And in November of every year, they send out a list of every lot and everybody's SID fees over to the county clerk's office. County clerk's office records the amount due, and then you see that on your tax bill when it comes. So if the property owner pays the taxes, everything's cool. It just keeps running in that cycle. You get billed every year and you pay every year. When it doesn't get paid, a couple different things can happen. So SID has the authority by the state of Arkansas to foreclose on that lot. They don't get a civil judgment against the person, but they can get possession of the property. And that process usually takes, or they usually do it every other year. There's a cost associated with it, and it's about $10,000 for SID to go and foreclose on those lots. So we really don't want to do that, but sometimes you have to do that. So SID can actually choose to foreclose or not. If they do foreclose, the process is they get an attorney, they file with the Chancery Court, the judge grants the foreclosure, and it goes to the courthouse steps. And you could either sell all of those lots individually by bidders there on the ground, or people who have failed in bids, or SID can reserve the right to not sell them individually and take them back in-house. So that's what happened earlier this year when I know there was some talk on Facebook about that property owner that tried to buy a lot next to them and they were told they couldn't do it because SID was taking them back in-house. They thought that a realtor bid on all of those properties and that's not what happened. SID took them back in-house. And the reason we would take them back in-house is so that we could turn around and sell them. The past due taxes might be $100 or might be less. SID needs a couple $100, and then we could turn around and sell those. Well, up until June 30th of this year, we had a realtor that was our exclusive agent, and that was ALC. They sold all of the lots that SID had. So that contract ended. So you can use any realtor that you want to use if you want to find a realtor, and you'll be able to buy either property from SID or from the problem with buying from the land commissioner is that somebody else could also be bidding on my property. And once you put a bid on the property, then the auction starts, and it runs for 30 days. So whatever's the highest bid rate in 30 days, you'll be able to buy that property. If SID decides not to foreclose on the properties, it goes directly to the tax collector, and they will certify it directly to the Commissioner of State Lands. So today, there are, like I said, about 40,000 properties with the Commissioner of State Lands. Most of them are $150. There's some bigger properties that are a little bit more. The end of August, I believe it's the 30th and 31st, the land commissioner is doing another auction here in Sharp County. There's another one in Fulton County in September, where anything that's not already on his website will be auctioned off. And there are 6,000 probably right now. Depends on how many owners redeem them, because the owner that's delinquent can still redeem them, and they can pay the taxes and get them back in hand. So it looks like by the end of September, there's going to be about 9,000 lots there. There's not a whole lot that's in the SID inventory. So we're still working on those. Our realtor did a lot of big sales earlier this year where they were selling 1,000 lots at a time. So it does take time to get all those deeds recorded at the county courthouse and then in our SID office. So we're still working through there. So I can't tell you exactly how many lots we have at SID for you to purchase as in our inventory, but it would be probably at the market price. I think the commissioners are going to talk about that process, what they want to sell it for, and that in just a little bit. But if you're interested in purchasing a lot, and not a specific lot, you just want a lot, because you want to own property, look at the land commissioner's website, because there are great videos, very instructional videos that you can watch. It tells you how to find something. You can go to the title company beforehand if you want to search the title and make sure that there are no relatives or other liens on those properties. Or you can go ahead and bid on them, and when you get them and you want a clear title, then just contact SID office and we can get that quick claim deed for you.
You can bid on before the auction date?
Yes, you can bid before the auction. So there is on the land commissioner's website, there's a list of things that have already been on there, that have already been auctioned, but have not sold. And then you can also go to the upcoming auction and see what's going to be there.
I called the city today about the lot that I got behind the house. They told me to look back at the state, and I got hold of the state, and they said it's not going to come up for sale for another year. Is that correct? Do they have to have it for a year or so?
Well, yeah. So the taxes that are due this year in October are for 2021. So if we don't pay the taxes in October, next July, the tax collector will certify it to the state. So if he does his auctions every other year in August, it may not come up.
ALC evidently owns it, because they came to me a few months ago and asked me if I wanted to buy it, and I didn't want to buy it, but I thought it was going to go back to city.
Well,
they had to give it a little cheaper, but then it went back to the state.
yeah. Well, ALC was our agent, so they could, and there are a lot of lots that belong to SID where we did not pay the property taxes and they went directly to the land commissioner. And if ALC had like a buyer, they had, somebody that wanted to buy a block of 1,000 lots, then they would go redeem 1,000 lots for them. It would come back in ALC's name, then it would go to SID's name until the sale was done.
After June 30th, ALC doesn't have anything to do with it now.
No. Now, ALC as a realtor, they can still go to the land commissioners and buy any property that they want to, just like anybody else
They
does.
have to wait till next year.
Unless they wanted one of the 9,000 that are going to be on there, after September. So they can bid on property just like anybody else can, and they can turn around and sell it wherever they want. I mean, anybody here in this room could buy 100 lots and turn around and market them on eBay or any kind of website that you wanted to do. But I would suggest that, if you just want a random piece of property, just so you have ownership benefits, then you can go to the land commissioner and bid on a lot there. If you want a specific lot that's next door to you, then there are ways, and there's an instruction sheet. I don't know if it's been posted on the SID website or not.
The COSL.org?
Well, it tells them how to go to AR County data and look up the parcel and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
on,
that's
it's on
there.
there.
It's on there.
On the front page.
Okay. Yeah, you can find out who owns it, and if it says that the state owns it, buy it from SID, you're probably going to pay a little bit more than what you would pay from the land commissioner, because it would just be back taxes. Does anybody have any other questions?
What about, this is going to get on my field, the yellow properties that were on SID's map that were supposedly owned by Cooper and then Daggett and then possibly Mr. Rose, that supposedly aren't paying SID fees?
Yes. Those were reserved properties, and it's my understanding that those belong to Mr. Cooper or Cooper Communities or whatever the organization was when SID was set up, or SID was set up, and those were not part of SID, so they do not pay SID fees.
So they're in the SID boundary, but they do not pay SID fees? But when they get sold, such as the store that we have there by the old airport, are they paying fees now? Did the commission decide what they're going to do with that property? And then we also have the gas station that's up on the 4-lane. Are they paying fees? And if they are paying fees, what is their, what benefit are they getting?
I can kind of answer that. Being that this actually happened to us, we got a piece of reserve property. On the deed, it says the land may be subject to SID. Okay, and in order for SID to actually, put a levy on it, then they have to hire an assessor. The assessor sets the value, then they apply to what the entities benefits of the other community,
Interpretation.
and that is what generates.
That's why we need Mr. Grant.
But because it's an interior, it's capped at 34. So in other words,
I think there may be some different interpretations to that, Mr. Gruber. I think that's your interpretation, but that may not be the same rule of thumb set to Casey's or the Choctaw Center.
that all happened before the lawsuit too. I mean, back then, I think they were just acting on the ropes. They didn't do this actual assessment.
And the assessor is the county assessor?
Correct.
That is correct.
Correct.
Now it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moving
But
forward,
the
it
cat
is.
piece of property is supposed to be assessed by an assessor that's hired, that takes care of it, and assigns the value of benefit to that piece of property.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Now, you mentioned that if you buy a piece of property from the state, that's been certified back to the state, or SID, whoever has that deed, then the cost is probably a base price plus the back taxes.
That's something we're going to talk about.
Right, but that also includes SID, because SID cannot forgive back SID.
Well, SID can, yeah, well, they,
That's down the state.
today, the SID fees do not get certified to the state but that assessed benefit, the 3,400, will carry forward for anybody that buys the property since the lawsuit. So we would not
Right,
collect.
but from this point forward, you cannot, SID cannot forgive a past overdue SID.
Right,
You have to collect the
from
income
now.
of the new purchaser or the person redeeming. Because now, Paul Gallagher, or whatever his name is, one of our senators, tried to put a bill in, and it was mainly based for Horseshoe Bend, but it would have encompassed us as well. And he was trying to get it to where SID could forgive those back fees.
I thought that was for current owners, so that they could do it for each other.
Correct.
This will be a debate.
That bill is really in committee.
Okay, let's move on, please. I think there's enough discussion there, Mr. Kruger, and if you'll come with us afterward or independently, we can take a look at your single piece of property, because I've also purchased property and had the taxes forgiven because it was foreclosed property and it was in Fulton County, and I got a free and clear title by going through that process. So that was history today I am uncertain if I would purchase the dump or not. So-
That may happen, but legally, you're not going to free and clear unless you pay the back city fees. Because even the state land commission can't forget it. By law.
Okay.
Okay, I've been looking online too.
Okay.
My name's Philip, but looking online too, I contact the office and they tell me we're going to look at everything, we appreciate that. One of the things is, Fulton County has a lot that you can buy right now, that's already been auctioned and no matter what. The problem is, all you get is a lot number. There's nothing I can find to show me where exactly that is, like subdivisions and all that, nothing translates that to a map that says, oh, these 5 lots here are all together or not, or whatever. I can't find anything on that now.
Fulton County does not have theirs online.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Sharp County does. You can go in at Sharp County. Fulton County does not.
There's 2 counties here, one of them's Fulton, and we want to sell those lots too, I think, okay? So we need to come up with a way to kind of cross-reference that so we can see where lots are.
You have to get Fulton County to get their stuff online.
Well, I have a couple different options for it. So if you go to the City of Cherokee Village website, I think it's under the Planning and Zoning Committee, there are plot maps. So if you go to subdivision, because it's listed by, it's like ABCD.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it, the ABCD doesn't make any sense to me.
It's the subdivision, like Suburban subdivision, I believe, Suburban, and then you can find it from there. There's also plat maps at the SID office that you can pull out and look at, and then there's also a great big
Can we get copies of the flat maps?
It's like,
Yeah, in the books.
But it's in the office and stuff, you can't go there and sit down and.
Go there with your camera, take a picture of it.
yeah. Thank you, Tracy. We really appreciate all the hard work that she's put into this. It's been time consuming and she has the knowledge and the background and we really appreciate all the time you put into this. Thank you.
Anything else that we need to continue with lot sales currently?
Well, we do have a blank standard Arkansas land purchase contract that we would like to have reviewed by an attorney and make sure that that's okay. And then Betsy and I have kind of talked about, putting something on the website where you can go and look to see the lot that is in the SID inventory. And then you guys will talk about pricing, and then maybe you can see that there. The person can maybe print the purchase contract, bring it to the SID office, or Betsy can bring it to you guys. So we're still trying to talk through that. But the biggest issue that we have right now is data. So we're still trying to get our data updated.
And boy, that's a challenge when you start looking at the 100 hours that you've spent, and I know I've spent at least 50 going through all the Arkansas land sales and looking at my property that I've had for a long time and looking at my neighbor's property. It's a real challenge. And if you haven't had the opportunity to go to the website that's published currently within the SID website, please do that and take your time, because there are a number of pamphlets in there that truly walk you through this process. And even though we've tried to, Tracy's mapped it out, and here's the straightforward way, one page, for me, it took quite a bit of time to just really understand and call them as well, because they're really good about answering questions. So at least that's my experience so far. It could be because I said I'm on page, and they said, oh, yeah, I know you from Adam. So they were really nice. Anyone else been to the website and had issues with bringing it up? Because if you are internet challenged, that's really a face-to-face with someone who would be a realtor, who would then take you by the hand and lead you down the path so that you don't make an error in purchasing a foreclosed property or a piece of property next to yours that you might want that someone has for sale independently, as I've done in the past. Anything else, Joe, Dave, Susan? That's it. Did we beat this up like you thought we might?
Well, no, we got another page. And basically, you know, on the SID side, working in the SID office, do you think I need that? I'm sorry. On the SID side, working in the SID office, we are the point of contact. So people are calling us about those lots across the street and next door and down the street. And so we need to, the commissioners need to look into some policy that we need to set about how we're going to sell SID property. And so what I put together on the sheet that I've given to y'all, the first part of it is kind of piggybacks on what Tracy was saying and what Mr. Gruber was saying as well, is that there is value to us in those limited deeds that are being sold by the Land Commission, that we do have delinquent assessments. And when I look through those, other than this year, most of those are done every 2 years. This year was a little bit different because of the lawsuit. And I averaged, on the majority of the lots, $153 was their average assessment at the time that they became delinquent. So if you do that by 2 years and you add in the quick claim deed cost, which is $50, the processing fees for 3 pages is another $25, recording fees, at $384 is about what we would have into it. I think that if there's anyone who approaches us that wants a clear deed, that $500 would be a fair and set fee, still leaving some profit at the end that will go into our refund pool that we owe per the settlement. So we just need to have a flat fee. We can't negotiate that. It can't be different for every other person. It just needs to be agreed upon as a flat fee. And the $500 is what I propose. That's something y'all can think about and we can vote on at the next meeting. The next thing that I put together was that if they purchase it directly from SID, and there should be some way that we can come up with a price on how we're going to calculate those prices, because again, we cannot negotiate prices. We need to be able to say that a lot worth this value costs this much money, and it's the same across the board. And so I'm giving 2 options that maybe we look at putting a percentage on that appraised land value. And my suggestion was maybe we do the 36% the same way that we calculate what the assessment is. So a land or a lot appraised at $2,500 would have a $900 fee to sell it. My second option was to give a scale. So between a lot that would be valued at $1 to $2,500 would be worth $800. 2,501 to 5,000 would be worth $1,600, and so on. You can see how I went down the line.
Betsy, so in that fee, does that include all the processing fees, the recording fees and all that for that price? Or is that separate?
That would be separate. If you look down, my other items to consider would be who would our closing attorney be and who would pay the closing cost. You know, I would think that anyone buying a lot directly from us would want to do a title search. At Ozark Title Search, that's $250. We don't do a title search to do a quick claim. We pay $50. We would still have the $78. Would we ask for earnest money like most sales would have? Who signs those contracts? Do we need to set a certain person, a certain commissioner to sign those contracts? And I would think once those contracts are signed by the person who's wanting to purchase and by our commissioner, then we're going to forward that to the closing attorney, the title company. They'll set the closing dates, and those will be handled. The one thing that I didn't put into thought when I put this scale together of the different pricing was multiple lots. We had someone came in today, wants to buy 5. It's not unusual for someone to come in and buy 10. You know, we need to offer a deeper discount for multiple lots. And maybe again, that's a percentage. Maybe once you add up what those 5 lots would cost, then they would get a 20% discount for buying multiple lots. I mean, I think it could be a formula that is just that simple so that everybody purchasing can understand it, and that we, the CIT employees who are the ones fielding these calls, are not negotiating. We cannot negotiate. So this is my pitch of how we can move forward with this. We've been okay right now, being able to say, we're working on it, we're working on it. It's August 1st, it's been 30 days. And I suggest that these are all items on the agenda, other than the AR County data terminology, that we look over the next 14 days and come back in 2 weeks at our regular meeting and be ready to make a decision. That's all I have.
Makes us sound like we're realtors, so
Do I?
this kind of makes me sound like I'm a realtor, or the commissioners are realtors, and I am not a realtor, and I'm not smart enough to say that I am, or I'm smart enough to say that I'm not a realtor. So it does concern me that we can do that, and I think when we have that discussion for the next couple of weeks, the folks in this room, if you have thoughts, if you have ideas, we welcome those, send them to us, so that we can take a look. And Tracy, I'll probably lean on just a little bit more because you're a broker or a former broker who would understand this far better than I would. Joe, thoughts?
Well, it's, yeah, right off the top of my head. I would love to have a set fee, I think, but it's going to take me a little time to digest that, research that. I'm in no means a realtor, nor do I have a desire to be. And so we'll have to come to some sort of meeting of the minds on this or something, and fall back on somebody who knows a whole lot more about it than we do, which, I mean, I guess we got spoiled because we had a realtor handling that for years and years, and now all of a sudden it's in our lap. And it's basically in the commissioner's lap at this point, so, which is absolutely no picnic, no fun whatsoever.
He's not talking on his microphone either.
Oh, he's got a microphone
Susan, your thought?
Did David Nichol have anything to say?
He's got one on the
Okay,
end.
David.
Joe, just talk in your microphone.
I'm with Joe.
And I'm on the other side of that. I think that this is going to be the way to go. We've got 9,000 lots. 9,000 lots that have been sold and resold and go back and get resold and go back. Here would be a way to get rid of them. I mean, I've been offered, David and I have been trying to buy the lots next to us for us, and we've been, you can't build on them. I mean, you can't. They're not worth anything to anybody. But to have those lots, according to this chart, sounds like quite I would certainly consider it for a financial plan. So I would think it'd be a good idea we could move forward, and 5 years from now, if we want to change this or adjust this, we can adjust it. It's not going to be set in stone, but it's a place to start. Effective as soon as we shake our heads, and that probably can't be today.
You know, and maybe some, have some friends that are real estate
Yeah.
people or family that can, chime in and give us some information, because I'm no agent either. And I don't want to offend or negotiate something that would put Sid into a place that we would be in trouble. So something to think about.
So all these lots that are delinquent on assessments are somewhere around $384. We're going to figure the value of those from $1 to $2,500 would be $500 on average. Is that right? And then Sid would go back and sell for
No, so what I'm saying is that if they go through if a person decides to go through the land commission and purchase through them on the auction for a couple of $100s, they're still to be able to get a clear title. We have to quit claim to them our lien, which is for assessments. I looked at the ones that were on the delinquent list, and $153 was an average. There wasn't, lake lots and golf course lots. There were some that were less, there were some a little more, but 153 was an average. So when I came up with the $500, they have to be 2 years delinquent, so that's 300 and whatever. We've got another $78 in the processing fees with doing the quit claim. We would have $384 in it. If we collected $500, that would give us $116. We would keep 20% of that. The balance would go into the pool for the refunds.
I got a question then. So if I go to the state and I pay $200 for the lot, I'm still gonna have to pay you $500?
To get a clear title. You know what?
That lot's not worth that. It's not worth $700.
Not for $700 or $800, it's not worth it to you?
No, you should have to do is make us satisfied with that, see if it's with city.
Yeah, that's, I think we need to try to sell the lot. I think you're asking too much. These lots have sat for mine behind my house for 35 years. But yeah, it's $700, if I can get it for $250, $300, I'll get it and then I'll pay you years of taxes.
That would be your option. You just wouldn't have a clear title, and that would totally be your option.
Oh, no.
You would have a limited deed, and you could do that. And then you would go back on the books, and we would start collecting our assessment. But you would not be able to put your parcels together. You wouldn't be able to build on it.
I wouldn't do it.
That would be your option, absolutely.
But I think everybody needs to kind of look at it.
How those lots are going to affect them, I think that will. That'll be a decision that each individual that purchases a lot will decide how they want to use that. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to provide some feedback for Tim, since he's not here today. We did have a lengthy discussion about this last night.
You want to come back up?
Sure. So Commissioner Lee's position, I'm married to Commissioner Lee, so and we discuss SID stuff all the time. So we had a rather lengthy discussion about this last night, about, what should they sell these for. His idea is to sell as many of these lots as we possibly can, and for as cheaply as we can, as long as we've got our costs covered. So even, the ones that may be in our inventory, if we sold those for, I think if we sell them for $500, I think that's the minimum that we could for anything that's in our inventory, because if we sold it for $500, we would be able to keep 20% for our administrative fees, which would cover the closing costs, and then the other $400 would go to the property owner's refunds fund. So I don't know if we could go any lower than 5 on those. But the ones from the state, I think we could. Instead of charging them $500, I think if we charged them $100, we could recoup our fees from that. And then we could
I think that's a decision that the commissioners just need to vote on and decide.
So I just wanted to throw that out there, because I know that's what Tim Stevens already can't be here today.
Right.
But if they buy it from the state, we're still going to have the quick claim deed, the processing fees, and recording fees, aren't we?
No,
But the title search, none of that?
that'll be all of them through the land commission. It would only be.
That's what I know about this
Yeah,
stuff.
it would only be if they needed clear title,
Uh-huh.
that they would have to pay off our lien. The other thing that I also learned for future is that we can give the land commission the authority to certify our fees, and it can become part of what their certified fees are, and us not have our fees separate. That they can do that. That was an option or a choice that was made years ago when that contract was signed. That is something that we can change. And I'm not sure why that was agreed upon, and I wasn't here at that time, so I don't know. I'm not going to assume. But it is an option which would help us in the future and would eliminate them having to come to us, period, because it would automatically have to be paid when it was purchased through the land commission. Yeah. Something to think about.
That's why please take a look at the Arkansas Land Commission website, and work through it, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And I tend to agree with you, sir. If my lot that I bought initially over on the South Golf Course, which was in foreclosure through the ALC, if I had been told I needed to pay an additional $500 or $700, I would have said, thank you so much, goodbye, because I didn't pay that much for that lot. And I have a clear title, but I also paid to have that clear title, which was a couple $100, and they did a full background search and cleared it for me there. So I probably had about $350 in that particular piece of property, which is what you just described.
Did you say you got a lot in Cherokee Village that you're not paying the state taxes on?
No. I pay SID taxes on every lot that I even think about, especially mine. And I have 4 of them, so this year I'm one of them, or 2 of them, I did not get a reduction based on the lawsuit, and one of them I did. And I was shocked because it was a whole $38. Of course, there's nothing on them either, just empty lots that I thought I might use.
You have something you'd like to say, Mr. Martin?
Yes, the first question I have is a challenge to the whole board. And that is you have no bylaws that you follow. If you're going to be an organization and operate as an organization, you do have to have bylaws. And you show me where you have bylaws to take and govern the sale of any property in the village. They're not there.
Sir, we follow the law.
You just keep going on and on and on. Sometimes you gotta stop. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll take that under consideration and take a look, because we are looking at the possibility of upgrading some of the processes that we have currently in place. Mr. Martin and I have discussed this at length at one point, and we are making some progress there. But at this point, there were things that have been really, really critical that we had to act on, and that's kind of sitting on like 4 or 5 down the road. So please, Mr. Martin, you keep watching us and keep coming to us and letting us know that you'd like to see exactly how this organization operates.
Thank you. Now you know where I get it from.
Hey, the last thing on the agenda today is the RDOT, and I know we have gone around and around and around with this contract, but what happened with RDOT is that the initial contracts were signed by old commissioners, and then when they made the changes and had the offer, our new commissioners signed it. So what they have said is that in the minutes of our meeting, we have to discuss who has permission, 2 people, to sign the contract with RDOT. It has to be in the minutes of the meeting, and then our paperwork that we had notarized at the bank has to be for those 2 people only, and then we'll be straight. So that's why we've had our confusion, is because initially Joe and Tim and Jim signed information, and now they're no longer here, and we have new people signing, so our paperwork didn't match up. So all we were required to do today is discuss it. It will be in the minutes of the meeting, and y'all need to vote on who you would like to be the 2 people that can sign that contract. Thank you. Please.
Okay.
Peter?
May I make a suggestion? Since the SID is kind of like a village manager, council form of government, that the SID assigns the manager to be the signature, because she's day-to-day right now, and maybe as a secondary, have the realty end of it, or one of her second people, so the commissioners don't have to worry about it, but people that are in the building and gonna be here, as long as you guys let them be here, are the two that sign. That takes a burden off of you, you have to come in and do stuff. She should be aware of it, or one commissioner and
That's how I like it.
that. But with a city or with a village manager form of government, it's usually we do a resolution and we assign the mayor and the clerk. Since you don't have a clerk for your manager, you might want to assign one, or one of you want to take it. That's my suggestion.
Thank you, Peter.
That-
And I,
That's what I was gonna suggest.
I go sign
Betsy.
checks, so I can do it.
Yeah, I would just like one commissioner, just in case something ever happens, that there's a backup, and I don't want to be the only person. I didn't start it, I'm just coming on the end of that, and I agree with it 100%. I have no problem signing it. I just want, I need a second person.
I know who's not here. Mr. Tim Lee. I nominate Tim. Sorry, Tim. Because he's been a commissioner longer than all of us combined, if you think about it. He's been over 2 years, and actually, he's been training some of us already, and I think that may be the route to go for the short term. Does it have to be every year, Betsy?
No, this is a
This is
contract just for the
single-
changes.
For RDOT.
Yeah, this is for the changes at Papoose Park.
Okay,
Yeah, should be a couple of documents here over the next few months. It may still be a year before they even start.
exactly, that's what I'm
It's just
thinking.
part of that process.
You had somebody want a question?
Could you give us an idea of what they'd be signing?
It's actually a contract that says that RDOT is going to pay us for 2 trees at $175 a piece, and they purchased a sliver of the land that they're going to use kind of where the handicap parking is on the side and where the porta potties are, and they gave us $200 for that. So it's basically a contract, I think, for $608, and because it's RDOT, they require us to show who has the authority to sign, copies of the minutes of the meeting where it was voted, who had the authority to sign, and then they have to have the signature. We've been doing bits and pieces of it, we didn't get it all together with the previous commissioners.
And
That's all it is.
Same thing a couple months ago, we sold property on the other side
Yeah,
of the road to that.
yes, it's just about those 2 low water bridges and what little bit of Papoose Park will be taken with it.
So I think I heard a nomination of Ms. Waugh to be one of the people to sign these RDOT contracts. And I made one for Mr. Lee because he's at home and hopefully watching and has the most experience as a commissioner and has been training. So I'll leave that to the
And you have a
guys.
volunteer who already goes and signs stuff that you've ignored, but that's okay. Move on.
There's I don't know that I can make a nomination
You can.
so as the chairperson, but I know what I suggested, and I've been working with Mr. Lee quite a bit, so, and I didn't mean to ignore anybody on our group who's been signing different things. I've done that myself. I know Susan has, and David and Joe have as well, and we just wanted to look for a nominee. Betsy, you're appointed. You agree, Susan? You agree, no?
Can we make a motion and vote here, or is this?
Yes, we can do that here. Because of the importance of these contracts. that
I make a motion, we,
She's got a job already. Don't give her any more.
I can sign it, I'm all right, Mr. Martin. I'm the point of contact, so that's a smart thing for me to be able to be in the middle of that.
I'd rather you see it come that clear than some other way.
I make a motion, we have Betsy and Susan as our points of reference for the RDOT contract signing.
I bet you Ms. Chet approves that.
I'll second that.
Do you agree?
Got seconded.
Got second?
You got second?
Shall we vote?
Yes.
Joe?
Joe, vote.
Yay.
David?
Yay.
Susan?
Yes.
And I'm going to vote for Tim. He said yes.
All right. Susan, I'll get with you on, we'll go down to the bank and get that stuff notarized.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Betsy.
You're welcome. think
I
that's all
don't
for our
believe we
agenda.
have anything else on our agenda
Yes, we
today.
got one more.
Oh, sorry, one more thing.
What?
The AC.
That's the Omaha Auditorium.
The AC at the Omaha. Okay, so, I forgot to put that on there. Mr. Cushman called me back today. He is who initially installed the system at the Omaha Center. There's 2 compressors up there. That's where our leak comes from, is from where they sit up on the roof. And one of them has gone out. To just fix that compressor alone, $7,000. No guarantees, no promises. That is how long it'll run, or if the other one will go out next. I have suggested in the past, I'm suggesting again, we get those units off the roof. For $41,000, they will relocate, remove, run the ductwork, the electrical, everything would be inclusive, including the equipment, and put those units on the ground. If you look at the Omaha Center, in the back behind the fitness centers, through the years, that's what's happened, is they've gotten away with the old dinosaurs on the ceiling and they've moved some units to the ground. The common hallway, the 2 fitness centers have already got those type of condensing units. It's the front lobby and the auditorium that is still working off the dinosaurs. Those flat roofs have so many issues, leaks, the drains are cracked. We're battling, putting up new tiles every week, trying to stop them. If we could get those units off, we could do a different roof system like Lakeview has done and City Hall and put a pitch on that roof over the auditorium and alleviate our problem up there altogether. It wouldn't be a quick fix. I would suggest we do the AC this year and then budget for the roof for next year. But we could at least get those units off, cover them with some tarp, and stop the flow of water that happens every time it rains sideways.
So, that's just one estimate for getting them down on the ground, 41K.
That's my first estimate from Cushman's. Richard's Heating and Air is not interested. They do not have access to a crane to be able to get the equipment off the roof. That's part of the $41,000. I do want to get another bid, but I don't want to waste my time going that direction if y'all are not in agreement with getting those units off the roof. If we're going to go the opposite direction, then I will pursue bids going just that direction. But I think that we need to look at the big picture and not just spend $7,000 to get some air and then turn around in a month and have a problem again.
I agree with you.
We're leaking, it's nasty.
It bites, I mean, it hurts. I just did on our retail store property, $11,000 later, we have air conditioner.
Yeah.
So, it's, you gotta replace the dinosaurs. That's just what happens.
Yep.
Yeah, get some more bids for total.
Moving it?
But
On the
that-
ground.
So we need to make a motion to,
Well,
No,
I think at this point, I just needed your direction. I've kind of looked at this special meeting as an opportunity for us to talk about some things that in our next meeting in 2 weeks, we can confirm.
okay.
So I don't think we need to motion it. I just needed your direction to know how to get my next bid. And I'll have that before the 15th.
I don't like Band-Aids on things.
No. I'd say
I'm one and
move,
done kind of girl.
Especially when
Fix
they've had
it right
20 years
first
of
time.
Band-Aids.
yeah. Move forward with the new plan.
Yes, sir.
We're going to ask for some additional bids,
Okay?
which I've heard already. And I think the smart money says we really want to bring the Omaha Center up to a new level that we've had in the past. I've heard that from several property owners who really do enjoy the utilization of the Omaha Center, but they just really are afraid that it's going to deteriorate, and this is a step to eliminate that fear. So I think that's excellent. That's great.
Thank you, thank you.
I don't have anything else, but we could ask the property owners that are here if they'd like to spend 3 minutes with a comment, which you've heard today. We've already heard from Mr. Martin and Mr. Martin, and we're friends, and so we've already had this battle before and multiple times. We've heard from Miss Tracy. I'm sorry, Tracy. I keep putting Miss out there. I apologize. That's the old Air Force guy in there, I guess. Anybody else like to make a comment before we close this meeting?
I make a motion we adjourn.
I got a quick thing, just information that just for you guys. The Arkansas Game and Fish Commission is offering seminar type classes August the 16th, and then in turn August the 19th in Jonesboro. I'm going to attend the one in Mount Home on the 16th, which is going to discuss fisheries management, fisheries biology, all kinds of neat things with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. We're still being state biologists there. So my goal in that is to not go as a bass fishing nut, but to go representing Sid and get those guys in the corner and say, come here, man, and talk to them face to face so we can get some more valuable biological information on our lakes. Because I'm getting texts, phone calls, emails, personal visits from lots of property owners that are wanting us to stock the lakes. And I think I have made some headway. So stocking is going to do us zero good in a lake that is like a chili bowl with nothing to hold the fish that we put in there. And so we've got to work diligently in putting structure, which is cedar limbs and trees and so forth, in those lakes to hold the fish population. Or we're going to wind up with nothing in the future. So that's what I'm going to go talk with these biologists about. Just information, and I'll come back with some hopefully great information.
That is good information. And piggybacking that, Jeff Klein, who I spoke about in the last meeting from AgriTurf, he has actually gone out on a boat with Lake Safety and looked at some of our vegetation issues. He's asked to be added to the agenda for the 15th, and he says that he's impressed more than he thought that how well the lakes are doing, and that some of this vegetation is needed, and that we need to educate our property owners and not try to just rip everything up. So
Thank you.
I think that'll kind of go together.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes, sir. Step up, Mr. Degas.
One real quick thing.
Step,
Well,
okay, give me the microphone.
What happened to stuff that got torn down is I think store we had, the folks, people came here, cut down trees and put it all over the place, got me somewhere around here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I'm getting contacts from several property owners that have cut a tree or whatever, want to know what to do with it. We've got to have something that's manageable, obviously. So trees in the 6-foot range that we could grab a hold of and put a concrete block on the sink. But they've got to be in depth so that it would not interfere with any water skiing or anything like that. So, and I would love to do a campaign after Christmas where everybody brings their Christmas trees and drops them off at the Omaha Center or somewhere, and we go get a lake committee together, we go gather those up and go sink them. So that's just things that are turning in my head, but I do want to talk to the biologists first. So.
I'm about to get seven out of my yard. Big one, okay?
Yeah.
Nothing else you get tossed about.
Yeah, and oak, from what biologists I have spoken with, they say that cedar and oak are the two best items to sink in the water. We don't want anything artificial. We don't want plastic trees. We don't want tires. You know what I mean? We want, because there's benefit in natural stuff that begins to deteriorate, because that has a food benefit for the fry that are hatching. I mean, it goes on and on. But that's my plan, is to attend those meetings and get information.
Thank you.
Mr. Martin?
I'd like to ask who's responsible for the management of the lakes? Period.
Sid.
Sid would be would be responsible to a degree, but it's also every property owner's responsibility to be responsible for that lake. And not, then by that I mean, don't throw tires out in the water, don't dump gas in the lake.
I think that's smart. I mean, that's not being stupid.
Right.
But I think still there should be someone that's responsible for the day-to-day operation of the lakes.
Well, if we lived like Bella Vista, we would hire a full-time biologist at $78,000 a year to do it, but we can't.
That's the question of whether we have to buy the lake or not.
We're working on figuring that out.
We're trying to figure it out. I'm volunteering. Let me just tell you, this is free. I'm volunteering all of this, and I'm trying to volunteer my information and help and all that kind of stuff. So I'm willing to step up and help. But, I'm not a biologist, so I don't know. I do the best I can.
Thank you.
I think we can talk about it now. I got a question. Somebody brought up about lake safety. What is this lake safety about? My name is Scott Frankhauser, and I live at 5 Dogwood Circle, right
Yes,
on the dam of Sequoia.
Sir, today's meeting is not about lake safety. If you would like to talk about those kind of things, I think if you come back to the next meeting, it would be open.
Yeah,
Our agenda today was really about the sales
I
process.
understand. Just somebody brought up lake management and all that, and I'm kind of new here, don't know how all this works.
Right?
And I see this lake safety guy going by, so I have a lot of questions about it.
Well, you'd be glad for you to call our office, and I would be able to answer any of those questions, or if you'll come back to our regular meeting.
I will.
Tonight was just a special meeting
Well, I
about certain
understand that.
topics.
I understand.
Thank you. Thank you.
Try it again. Motion to adjourn.
I have entertained a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Right.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed by the same sign. In hearing, thank you very much. Appreciate you.